meeting for the first time, will be critical, or they're automatically criticizing us, in a negative way. And we should start thinking more positive, when you're doing these things,
Yes.
Right.
No, you have to. I mean, it's a have to because it's about who you are. It's about building your future. Some people put their life on hold because of the fears, and the regret later is horrible. They didn't make those moves. They didn't do what they should have done at the time because of the fears. And now they're stuck. Sometimes, in counseling, you see people coming where they're stuck. And they're just searching and searching. And the answer has always been there. They just didn't see it. So.
I fear death. I mean, not necessarily my own, because I still consider myself sort of young. But, like, family members. That would just be...
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one.
Cindy's on the floor. Cindy, stand up. I have no power, no will to get up. I mean, that would just be devastating. And people walk through that, and it's not an easy walk.
Right.
But you have to keep putting one foot in front of the other to get to the other side.
Yes. No, and that's what you have to do because, again, nobody's going to do it for you.
Right.
No one's going to do it for you.
I have fear when my husband opens my credit card statement.
Well, that's a different... You should be in fear.
Because he thinks it's
I'm sure
his. And I'm like, you opened it. That's mine.
I'm sure he has a bigger fear, Cindy.
It's not, he doesn't really open it. It's when he opens the checkbook balance.
I'm sure his fear is a lot bigger than yours. Yes. So we're talking about fears on the Real Podcast of Dallas, the little podcast that could. So fears, facing your fears. Today's the day. Today's the day you're going to face that fear. Today's the day you're going to go out and you're going to say, it's my world. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
So get up, take a shower, dust yourself off if you've fallen many times. If the world's against you, time to fight back.
Right.
Give it back to the world. Give it back to those people who are, oh, you're no good. You'll never make it. You deserve that? I don't think so. You're a loser.
Right.
Let them have it. Maria will back you up.
Yes.
Maria showing us our muscles. She's like, yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. Yes. So this is a topic that, we hear a lot about, especially, with the youngsters. If you're going to a different school, what are your fears?
Yeah, we had a lot of students share with us that they were, afraid of starting high school.
Yes.
Well, I mean, a lot of it too is because it's a big building, or it's a building you haven't been in and you don't know your way around. And, big buildings used to just terrify me when I first moved to Dallas because, gosh, I've never seen so many big buildings because I lived in this small town. And then now I'm like, how many of these big buildings I've been in for a name meeting or, whatever. And they all have elevators and they all have stairs and they always have security guards and somebody's always lost and you just ask for help.
Yes.
Someone is always lost in our hallway. Like, someone's always looking for a specific suite or...
Where's the pediatrician's office? Oh, you got a long walk.
Yes. But all you have to do is ask for help. Always ask for help. There's nothing wrong with that. In our past podcasts, we always say ask for help. You have to ask for help. In order to get rid of your fears, you have to be able to put them out there. And then ask for help. How do I get from point A to point B? Those of you that are wondering, what's it like in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade? What's it like changing jobs? What do I need to do? Ask questions.
But it's always over, like after the first 2 or 3 weeks. Then you've got your rhythm.
Yes. Now, what do you do if there's people who are bullying you?
Come tell me.
Yes, then you let Cindy know. Cindy can.
I don't like that. I don't like
ask for help.
bullies.
I
don't like punks.
Yes. Ask for help. Get you a nice little support group. Remember numbers.
If you're a bully, you need a support group.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, bring them to me. I'll bully the bullies.
Yeah.
Yes, I will bully the bullies. Yes, and if you're a bully, stop. That's a fear of letting other people be successful, a fear of letting people just be themselves, being happy with themselves.
A fear that they're gonna outshine you.
Could be.
And they do, because they're not bullies. Thank you.
Right. Yes. So fear. We're talking about fear here on the Real Podcast of Dallas, the podcast that we'll just say it like it is because it's real talk. That's why we did it, right? Real talk.
Real talk.
Yes, real. You hear a lot that, I hear a lot of other things. It's real talk, real. No, this is the most real you're going to get. Yes. Because it's coming at you from a little place called Dallas, Texas. You ever notice our view?
No, I never look at the subway.
I can see it where I'm at. Our view, wow. Yes. Pitiful little view.
It really is.
I'm looking out there, it's like kind of depressing. I'm trying to get all pumped up and I look down and it's like, wow.
We need a better view.
We do. So you have to have motivation. Motivate yourself. How do you motivate yourself?
Absolutely.
Get rid of those fears. Again, get up. Those of you that are sitting there wanting to, maybe, I don't know. Here, motivate me, Maria. I'm so tired. I wanna be a podcaster, Maria. What do I need to do?
Well, you need to start the podcast.
That happened for real.
Walk around with the headset on.
That happened for real. You close the door in the office and you're not leaving until you get this podcast going.
That is what I said. Oh my God, you remember.
Yes.
Well, sometimes it is that, just the support of somebody else that's needed.
Yeah.
Somebody who says, hey.
10 hours.
Who's willing to not only encourage you, but, be supportive and sit next to you and help you out with it. It's like you guys have said, ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. And sometimes it's okay to offer help, if you know.
I waited for it to fall out of the sky.
If you know that.
As the help is coming.
If you have a friend, or a relative that wants to start off, something new, yes. Whether it's learning to play an instrument or whether it's, starting their own business and the way, or maybe you don't know the way, but you're willing to spend that extra time and say, hey, let me help you out. Let's figure this out together.
Yes.
And don't let them, move from where they're at until they have a better idea of what the next step is to getting there.
So the way you motivate them is you lock them up in a room for 10 hours and they don't get out of there until the podcast is up and going. And now it's all over the world.
Hey, you learned a lot in 10 hours though.
Yes.
You even learned to create the QR code.
I don't want to talk about that.
Well, but
QR
still.
Code, yikes.
But you knew how to. But you know how to do it.
Yeah, because for those of you that don't know, the first podcast we were texted it to each other. I was sending it out by text, a little link.
Through a QR code.
And then I didn't know then the QR code.
Oh yeah, that's first.
Yeah, so true. I thought we'd make, like in the schools, and then no, it just didn't. So we sat and we did it, and look at us now.
Yes.
It's the Real Podcast of Dallas, going global.
You Google the Real Podcast of Dallas and you get links to everything that has to do with the Real Podcast of Dallas. That includes, our Facebook account, that includes the YouTube, that includes Spreaker, and most recently, Breaking News. You'll find us through Breaking News
yes,
also.
Thank you, Breaking News, wherever you are. But yes, and for the students that listen, thank you guys so much.
Yes, to the students, thank you so much for your support because they have been truly supportive with all their great feedback.
Yes.
I think one of my counsels for young adults, and I'm talking about these middle and high school students, younger too, it's something I've learned from being a mother is that you have to teach your youth, like, when you're listening, listen for what is being said and not taking everything literally. Because with young people, so often things are taken literally that were never meant to be taken literally. Right. So if something scares you, ask, because sometimes that was not, stereotypes are always, people say always this will happen or this is going to happen. No, it's not always it's going to happen. But ask and seek help, because there are people like Miss Maria and Leo and me who want to help you and want to hear your concerns, and having somebody listen to you is tremendous. That's just a weight of the world off your shoulders.
Yes.
And you'll survive most things. And for parents, I always say, like, let your kids know that you're listening, even if your answer is always the same and they always have the same complaint. Let them know, though, that you hear them and that you are listening. Like my daughter always saying how much she didn't like school. She didn't like school. She didn't like school. It's important that I let her know I hear you, but we're going to finish school. And this is, how we can do it.
Yes. And you've been very supportive, with her. And trying to accommodate to what really works for her, and that's really great, because I think a lot of times we fall into the belief that our kids should do things the way that we know how to do, and sometimes that's not the best way. Everyone learns different.
That's where a lot of the fears come in.
Yes, what works well for one, it's not going to work well for the other. You cannot just expect all the siblings to learn the same way, because they're all. But
different. I always was worried, if we're at age 16 and I'm hearing the same thing always, I don't want her to think I don't hear her, that I'm not listening. So, you find what works, but make sure that your child feels valued, that they understand that you hear them, and that you have empathy. You share their misery when they're miserable. But gosh, it's wonderful.
Just validating. All you're doing is validating. You're not saying that you're correct in not liking school. You're just validating that there's a feeling there that's overwhelming and it's uncomfortable. Yes, you're right, but we have to move forward.
Right.
Yes.
Because I never liked school, and I was the oldest child. And I always had to work I've always had to work for the grades I got and things like that. And then I had 2 younger siblings who were straight A perfect. I didn't study. Yeah, I got 100.
How do they do that? Yeah.
And they love school.
Never picked up a book in my life. I just passed my exams.
I know, right? Like, I'm a bookworm, love to read, and my sister's one of them still, I think she's read 1 book in her whole life.
Wow.
But smart.
She just figures it out. She's like, oh, that's easy.
I'm like, it's not fair.
Cynthia, that exam.
Yeah.
And you're like, oof. Yes.
But we're all different. And, I have talents and skills that they don't have. So find out, what is valuable and strong and works for you. But we are different, and we're not expected to be the same or to perform the same.
I think that's where a lot of the fears comes to, is comparison.
Absolutely.
Comparing your outcome with other people. Especially with siblings. You're comparing yourself to the older brother or older sister, comparing yourself to other family members, even on the job. Or being compared to when you're on the job and the boss is comparing. That's not going to work, because we are different. I want to work with different. I don't want to work with the same. I want to see the strengths that every person has.
No, and I would never ask, Leo to do what I asked Maria to do, and vice versa. I just wouldn't.
Yes, I can't do puppets.
I'm not going to ask Maria to go do an assembly